Yeah, so this guy, he left a pretty long comment, and his comment was a video request, and within that video request, it was like maybe 10 different topics he wanted me to discuss. I'm not going to discuss every single topic. I'm just going to pick two and talk about those two. And then later on, the other topics he wanted me to discuss, I'll do those later, but I don't have time to do all that right now. I'm just making this video on the fly, actually. So he wanted me to talk about pretty much like social media, how social media has replaced normal human interaction, and also like dating apps or IG and things like that, how it pretty much eliminated the need to kind of the same thing, to talk face to face and get to know someone on a personal basis. So pretty much he's saying with all this social media, all this technology, human interactions aren't as prevalent as they once were. So that's pretty much his topics. Yeah, and that's true. He mentioned with women, like women could just turn to social media and pretty much get all the interaction they need from men. That's very much true, especially nowadays, you know, with IG. I don't have a Facebook, so I don't know how Facebook works, but I'm sure that's the same way too. Yeah, and dating apps, you know, some of these dating apps, you know, if you're chatting with somebody, you don't even gotta come up with your own words. Like a lot of times, for example, like if you're chatting, let's say if you're a chick, right, and you're chatting with a dude, you don't have to think in your mind what to say to that dude. A lot of times AI will generate something for you to say to that individual. It'll be AI generated, and then you send that person your message, which is crazy because that just, you're not using your mind, you know, you're not using your mind to interact with this person. So like, let's say if you're out in public, you're so used to interacting with someone on social media or dating apps, then when you're in public, it might be a little more challenging for you to interact with an actual person face to face. You know, it's kind of like a use it or lose it thing. If you don't interact with people that much, when it comes time to interact with people, you're going to be kind of rusty at it, you know, and that is true. Yeah, even with YouTube, like me as a content creator, like a lot of times when I'm responding to you guys' comments, a lot of the comments will be AI generated. So if you guys like leave a comment, AI will generate a response, and it's up to me to choose to send that AI. So even YouTube's the same way, but I don't do that. If I respond to you guys' comments, I think it's something to say and just respond accordingly. I don't use AI to, you know, auto-generate a comment. But a lot of these dating apps, that's what they do. And pretty much people aren't as proficient as they used to be communicating with one another. Okay, because a lot of times, if let's say if you do go on a date, all right, if y'all two link up, usually end up being awkward. It end up being awkward, you know, because the two individuals aren't used to having a face-to-face interaction. They don't know what to say to each other. They might say a little bit here and there, and then they usually end up with them picking up their phones and turn on their phones and just, you know, scrolling through their phones like everybody always do. You know, back in the day, let's say like back in the 90s, I know I always talk about the 90s because the 90s was a great time to live. You know, it wasn't like that. You know, we didn't have no social media, no IG, no YouTube, nothing like that. So if you wanted to meet someone, it was mandatory you approach that person, you know, you chop it up with them. You see a female you like, you just walk up to her and, you know, speak to her and just get to know her that way. You see, in the 90s, people weren't as socially inept as they are now. You know, people were more proficient in having a face-to-face conversation. It wasn't all this awkwardness and all this stuff. It wasn't you go on a date, you sit at a table, you're eating your meal, you're having a chit chat. Then within the next 5 or 10 minutes, y'all both pick up your phone and start scrolling, because we didn't even have smartphones back then. Okay, you'd be lucky if you had a pager back in the 90s. But I'm just saying, back then, or even the early 2000s, the early 2000s were nothing like they are today. people were more better at speaking to one another and communicating. So like the gentleman said in his request, I do blame social media for that. Okay. Yeah, it just eliminates the need for face-to-face interactions. It really does, you know, especially when it comes down to the dating scene and all that stuff. It's a lot of awkwardness. It's a lot of just very uninteresting. And like I said, when you do meet up with whoever, usually people just end up picking up their phones and you know, scrolling because they don't know what to say to each other, you know. So, but I can personally say back in the day, it wasn't like that. It really wasn't. All right. And he also wanted me to talk about how video games replaced activities, physical activities for mostly men. I mean, yes and no. I understand why a lot of guys play video games, because really it's an escape. It's an escape for them. It's a cope and it's an escape. A lot of guys, a lot of grown men, we're not just talking about kids or teenagers, but a lot of grown men, even in their 30s and 40s and beyond, yes, they play video games as a way to escape from reality. And, you know, we talk about this all the time. Jobs they don't like, jobs they hate, just normal day-to-day life. Their video games provide some sense of relief for them. And then also, a lot of guys just aren't into physical activities. A lot of guys don't want to work out. A lot of guys don't want to run 2 miles each day. Okay? Because I run every day. A lot of guys don't want to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of guys are just play their video games. I told y'all, every time I make a video, it's always just craziness outside. What was I saying? Yeah, so a lot of guys aren't interested in stuff like that, so they turn to video games, you know, which I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with playing video games. You know, being fit, going to the gym, running, or playing sports, that's just not everyone's thing. Some people hate sports, okay, regardless if it's a man or not. Everyone's just not into that. So again, I understand why people play video games, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see nothing wrong with it at all. You know, it's just one of those things. I guess you're trying to say in your request that guys play it so much that they're getting out of shape because of it. I mean, yeah, but again, it's just not everyone's thing to be fit. You know, some people just don't have the motivation for that. They lack the patience, okay, because it's hard work. It's hard work to run. It's hard work to get in the gym, grind for months on end, weeks, months, sometimes years on end before you even start seeing results. Just knowing that alone is enough to deter most people from wanting to do it in the first place. You see what I mean? So playing their video games, it's easy. It's something they enjoy. There's nothing strenuous about it. I mean, unless it's a level you can't beat, but y'all know what I mean. So I see why people rather play video games, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's my take on that one. And he also wanted me to talk about how AI replaced the mind. You know, pretty much you don't really have to think like you used to. You don't have to think, because an answer for you is within the reach of your fingertips. Google and, you know, search engines. So you really don't have to think like you used to. AI does it for you. Like I was telling y'all earlier about the AI generation. You ask Google a question and AI will generate a quick response for you within a matter of seconds. A fraction of a second, AI will provide the answer for you. And it can be the most basic answer. It could be something common sense that you can probably figure out on your own. But if you don't want to use your brain, you just punch it in Google and AI will generate the response for you. So that's what he's saying when AI replaced the mind, because we have all this technology that pretty much think for us. You know, me personally, I still rather use my mind to keep my mind sharp. I rather rely on common sense. Now, there are I don't know everything. There are times where I have to Google certain things, but if it's common sense stuff, I really just exercise my brain to keep it sharp and come up with my own answers. You know what I mean? But that can't be said with most of the population. All right, because the easy way is just to ask the search engine or to ask AI, and your answer will be provided for you. And again, I'm gonna talk about back in the day. I keep bringing up back in the day. You couldn't do that back in the day. You couldn't. You had to think for yourself. You couldn't turn to Google. You couldn't. What other search engine people use? What, MSN? There's other search engines that's not as popular, but y'all get my point. You couldn't turn to the internet to ask the internet questions. Whatever it was, you either had to get your ass in a dictionary, a book, go to the public library and research it, or ask one of your elders. That's how you got your answers back in the day. Which I think was better too, you know, because you had to figure things out for your own. You really had to. And research actually shows that people back in the day were smarter than they are now. Yeah, we have all this tech, but people are getting dumber and dumber. And again, I blame all this. It's good to have technology. It is very convenient, but it's a double-edged sword. You see what I mean? Yeah, we have all this tech that makes life easier for us. But on the flip side, people aren't as intelligent as they were because they have all this technology doing everything for them. Whereas back in the day, when our parents were growing up, you had to use your brain for everything. Everything you had to use your brain for. You had to use your common sense. Everywhere I go, people lack common sense nowadays. You know, they really do. They don't. It's almost as though they don't have a brain. They lack common sense. I'm not saying everybody, but it's more prevalent now. I notice it anyway. I don't know if y'all notice it, but I notice it everywhere I go. People aren't as sharp. They're not as mentally sharp as they were back in the day. See? So, yeah, that was a good point he made about AI does everything for people. And it's only going to get worse. AI is becoming more and more and more advanced. And it's only going to get worse as time progresses. People are not going to have to rely on their mind as much. See? I'm not sure how it is in school nowadays, but I'm sure it's the same way in school, you know. If there's something you can't figure out, a math equation or whatever, the internet provided for you. I'm sure. For those of you that just graduated recently, let me know if there was something you couldn't figure out. Didn't the internet provide the answer for you? See, we couldn't do that back in the day. Like, I mean, you was either dumb or not, you know, and we knew who the dumb kids were because they're the ones that got held back. But like I said, back in the day, you had to research. If you didn't know it, you had to get your ass in the book and figure it out. We couldn't just punch it in our phones and get the answer like that. You see? So, and speaking of AI, they got like these dolls. Okay, like AI dolls. And that's another topic here I wanted me to talk about, how like corn, CORN, is replacing, you know, like getting busy with each other. Well, they got like these dolls, you know, like these AI dolls. I can't say the word on YouTube, but I'll put a picture up on the screen. All right, so y'all see that picture? That's not a real woman, that's a doll. So stuff like that is also replacing intimacy between humans. All right, and this is nothing new, because over in Japan, all right, like I told y'all, I was in the military. My first station was in Sasebo, Japan. All right, I was stationed there in 2005. Okay, so even back then, way back then, they had these AI dolls. They had brothels that you go to. All right, that's very popular with the Japanese locals. They would go to these brothels, and it was full of these dolls, and that was like a huge business back then. Huge business. And these were not like low class places. These are like high class places. Like very expensive. The place was just very, very upscale, and it's very popular over in Japan. And a lot of the older, well, the young and older Japanese men, they will engage in that. And most of the times, these men would be married. They would have a significant other, but they would engage in that activity just for, you know, the experience, just for the thrill of it. And like I said, that's very popular over there. But these things are also becoming more and more advanced. All right. Pretty soon, they're going to have like an AI brain. And they're saying within a matter of years or decades, whatever, pretty much they're going to replace like an actual woman. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. So this is the trajectory we're on as humanity. You see? Pretty much it's like they're trying to put a wedge in between the genders. They're trying to push the genders more and more apart. And they got things like that. They're over here in the United States as well, but they're more, I don't want to say prevalent. I already used that word twice. They're more abundant over in Japan. They're more abundant over in Japan, these AI dolls, all right? SEX dolls. I just don't want to say the word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. They're called SEX dolls, all right? And a lot of guys over here in the United States, they're getting them too. And like I said, they're also becoming more advanced, and they're saying within a matter of time, they're going to have a brain. They're going to be able to cook food. They're going to be able to clean and all this stuff. And I mean, what do you think that's doing to people? What it's doing is putting a wedge, like I said before, it's putting a wedge between the genders, and it's just pushing people apart more and more. See? So it's crazy what's going on, but I'll probably make a separate video talking about that. I don't want to get too much into that topic right now, but things like that, yeah, things like that is just, I don't know, it's crazy. Again, back in the day, you would never thought of anything like this, all right? This stuff like this would never cross your mind, but you can go online and go to like Reddit, go to Quora, and there's like hundreds, if not thousands of men on there saying they prefer those things than an actual woman. It's nuts. It's insane. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna make a separate video on that topic, you know, because you gotta be careful what you see on this platform, because they will ban you, and I'm almost certain that's a sensitive topic, so I don't want to delve too much into that right now. But if y'all want that video, I'll make a video. I'll show more pictures of those things, and we'll chop it up. But yeah, that was a good request you had, talking about these things and how it's pretty much a detriment to society. It is a detriment to society, because like I said, back in the day, studies shows that people were more intelligent back then, and not even that long ago. Let's say just like 20-30 years ago. I don't consider that all that long ago, you know. If we said like 60 or 70 years, okay, but I mean, just a few decades ago, yeah, they say people were substantially more intelligent. The IQ level, the average IQ level was higher back then than it is now. So if you was born in 96, you was born in 97, the IQ level back then was higher than it is this year. People are getting dumber, and dumber. Common sense, I'll venture to say common sense is at an all-time low. And you can just see this on social media. You can see this on YouTube. You can see this on TikTok, just the way people act. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about, TikTok, how over here, they want to dumb down the people. They want to feed us all this, just this idiotic stuff, you know, like these challenges, these stupid challenges. Like they had this one challenge where you run up on the crates. What's called the crate? Stupid shit like that. Stupid stuff like that, you know. It's making our youth dumber. It's making people in general dumber. But over in China, if you get on the TikTok, the TikTok app, if you're a child and you get on the TikTok app, you're presented with educational material. You're presented with something you will find on National Geographic, the Discovery Channel. Brain food, things that's going to feed your brain, things that's going to stimulate your brain. You're not fed with these stupid challenges like we are over here, or just idiotic stuff. Y'all that be on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, over there in China, those kids get educational material to keep their brains sharp. Okay, to develop their brain at a young age and to keep their brains sharp. And then when they get into adulthood, they're going to be well-rounded adults, you see? But over here, no, our youth is presented with idiotic stuff. Well, not just the youth, just people in general. See? It's like a whole different algorithm over here than it is over there. So that's another example. It's another example right there. All right. So yeah, social media is making people dumb, and AI is making people dumb. It really is. It really is. And it's sad. So, like I said, he had quite a few requests, but I'm not going to do all those right now because I'm on the fly. I just walked out the mall. So I'm going to head back to the house, and I'll probably make another video tomorrow. We'll see what happened. But, that's all I got for now. Let me know what you think about what I said here. And, if y'all want to hear about those AI dolls, if y'all want a video on those AI dolls, let me know and I'll make a video. But enough of y'all gotta want the video for me to make it. If it's just like 1 or 2 people, then I'm not gonna make it, you know. So that's all I got for now. I'll catch y'all on the next one.